Hello everybody, welcome back to the Macbat 64 any% tutorial for Nintendo Switch. So, after you beat the first stage, you'll notice a stamp on screen. Once you see that stamp, it's a good time to start mashing the jump button because the game will automatically bring you back to this screen here, and you want to be able to open the book as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, it does always default to page 1, so as the book is opening, hold right to go to page 2 for level 2, Birdy Beach. There's a lot to say about this stage for as short as it is. We'll really get into it. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. So this stage has an interesting mechanic that you see a couple times in the game, where notice that the camera is just rotating. We can't actually move Macbat until we press A to initiate movement. Or not A, but the jump button rather. Watch what happens when I press jump. Oh, actually I guess it does after a moment do that. My point in saying all this, though, is this. If you just hold the jump button while loading into the stage, after pressing the jump button to select it, you'll start moving immediately. So, Birdy Beach is a pretty interesting stage. The normal glitchless goal is to do a variety of puzzles to collect some balloons. Some of the balloons can just be found out in the open, like that green one off in the distance over there. But the goal of this stage is to get balloons, typically, to lift this cage and access this key, which ends the level. There are a couple different ways about getting to this key, though. Obviously, you could do the puzzle as intended. The most common way, though, and the easiest way, though, and this works on PC and Switch, which is interesting. It's a little bit different on both the versions, but as such, it's not exactly that much different, I guess. Anyway, come over here as soon as the stage starts, and you're going to want to come to the back side of this barrel. If you look closely, you can see a seam on the ground right about there. Watch what happens when I walk into it. See how it pushes me back like so? So essentially that's just an invisible barrier that keeps us from going out of bounds. Obviously we're going to ignore that entirely and we're going to go out of bounds. There's a couple ways to do this. One of the ways I've never personally been able to do, but you're welcome to experiment with it, and it is to come up to the edge of this barrel and just kind of fidget and turn around, and eventually you'll get shoved through. I've not really had much luck with that. It's apparently a little easier to do on PC. The way we normally go out of bounds on Switch is to mash the home button as we are about to collide with this barrier. So what you like to do is come up to the edge of this barrel and get to where you're literally like almost about to hit the barrier, and then walk towards the barrier while mashing the home button. Alright, so we didn't go out of bounds there, and that's okay. This trick is a little difficult for some people, including me. It's one of those tricks that really doesn't have a whole lot of consistency yet across the community, and that's fine. Okay, close. We want to come right as close to the edge of this barrel as possible. And we're through. Alright, so from here, you're going to want to go upright. Make sure not to fly too high or you'll fly back up into bounds. We're going straight for where the key is. Once you get under this platform, fly straight up to the key, and the level is done. It's as simple as that. There are a few ways of getting out of bounds. We're going to go over those now. They're all pretty tricky, to be honest, with the exception of the barrel method, but let's take a better look. Hold jump, and up left to go straight over to the barrel. Get your camera in a good position, whatever position you desire. Oops. Try to get through as quick as possible. We're not having much luck. I typically haven't been doing this method as it's a bit slower than another out of bounds method that we'll get to in a moment. We're through. So, just like so. Remember, don't flap too high. Another thing worth mentioning is we are technically in the water, so we have infinite flaps. But when you're out of bounds, in some stages, the game gives you infinite flaps anyway, as to not make you soft locked and stuck. So that's the barrel method. It's definitely the easiest in terms of getting through the out of bounds barrier. Now let's take a look at the faster version that people have done. hold up right, and our goal is to land on this. We missed it, that's okay. Start mashing right as you're getting to the edge here, and we made it through, like so. It normally doesn't go quite as smooth as that, but you want to fly back up and under the same place, and like so. Getting through the boundary in that direction is typically seen as a lot less consistent. It's a bit more consistent for me than the barrel version, mostly because I've practiced it quite a bit. Let's take a look at it again. Land on this, flip twice, start mashing home. So notice we did get bounced back several times and we didn't make it. That's a pretty typical looking attempt. You'll have a lot of resets here if you want to do the skip version. And there we made it with flying colors, and we're under the map. We're going to turn straight around and get to the big pillar and flutter our way up. So there is one other place to clip out of bounds that's even quicker, but it's quite a bit more inconsistent, so we'll see if I'm able to get it. That's what I've been working on. No one's implemented this into a run yet, unfortunately, but you're going to hold down right and immediately try to get through. And we did, which is wonderful. So you can immediately get out of bounds. From here, you're going to want to hold kind of up left. You can already see our target right there. We're going to get under this and flutter our way up. Simple as that. So Birdy Beach is pretty technical. It has some out of bounds stuff in both versions of the game in terms of any percent, which is really cool. Definitely a good introduction to that. Let's take a look at the fastest method one more time. Again. So we missed it there. That's okay. When resetting up for this version, I like to come about back to this monkey. You can hold ZL to rotate the camera to behind Macbat at any particular moment. So we're going to want to do that. Try to get as perpendicular to the barrier as possible. Notice there, I hit it at a pretty sharp angle. We want to be as flat and perpendicular to it as possible, which is somewhat difficult to do, given the game's physics. Notice there, we missed it. Typically, this version, if you don't get it immediately, you're not going to get it too quickly at all. There, it looked like we had it. We did not. This is pretty typical, as I said. Finding a good setup for Birdy Beach skip is something that would definitely do the community some good. Typically, what I like to try to do is flap twice. So jump at the edge of the box, flap, flap, start mashing home. That usually makes it through, but only if my angle is flat enough to the barrier. That looks good. Well, it looked good, but it didn't quite work. I think you get the idea, though. This is definitely a point that you're going to want to practice, as it's not the easiest to do. We got very lucky when I got it the first try before. Let's try it from that location again. Ooh. Okay. We made it through pretty immediately. Notice this little pushback that we get. Oh, didn't actually give it to us. Either way, though, that's Birdy Beach. You want to come up to under this pillar and fly up into the key to end the stage.